In the early 60s, one messy little rock song floods the radio. Catchy, loud, and strangely hard to understand everywhere you turn. The vocals are a blur, more rhythm than language. And when people can't hear words clearly, they start imagining them, line by line. Someone swears they heard something obscene. Then another person swears it louder. Soon the rumor feels official, like it came with a stamp, signed and sealed. By early 1964, the FBI is asked to check the song for interstate obscenity violations, so a real investigation begins, whether it makes sense or not, on paper. Somewhere in America, a rock song gets treated like contraband bagged, logged, and filed like it's a dangerous object, in plain sight. They don't just listen once, they rewind, again and again, like meaning will appear, if you scrub the tape hard enough, one more time. They try to break the singing into pieces, syllable by syllable, like decoding a secret message hidden inside noise, under all that static. Here's the tragic joke. While real violence and corruption sit nearby, a formal request forces someone to work the case, even if the case is a song today. They try every trick, filtering, boosting, isolating, like the truth is hiding under the static, waiting to be rescued any second now. In bureaucracy, progress is measurable by pages. Even when the sound stays unclear, the reports keep getting clearer and thicker. Here's the problem. The lyrics aren't there in the same way for everyone. Each listener fills the blanks with their own imagination without noticing. When you slice a song into syllables, you can force almost anything to appear. The method starts creating the evidence it's looking for, by itself. The accusation isn't about music. It's about interstate obscenity laws, rules built for material you can actually read, not vocals you can barely hear at all. In a system like this, priority doesn't always mean importance. Sometimes priority just means somebody asked, so you comply. They're not chasing a suspect. They're chasing a ghost, a dirty syllable that might not even exist anywhere. Outside this room, real people are getting hurt, but inside, the machine is busy, trying to prosecute a mumble with straight faces. It starts the same way it always does. Complaints, rumors, and moral panic stacked into paperwork that demands a response right away. The question isn't, is it art? It's, did someone transport obscenity across state lines? And somehow, the suspect is a chorus nobody can decode, clearly. They build lyrics like it's a crime scene diagram, except every line is a guess, and every guess becomes a new lead to chase, endlessly. By the time the file gets thick, the conclusion is thin. No clear proof, no solid words, just time spent turning noise into procedure, day after day. February becomes a routine. Log the complaint, route the file, listen again, and turn confusion into a workflow, like clockwork. They hold a meeting about a song, and everyone is deadly serious, because seriousness is what the system knows how to produce, on demand. At this point, the tape itself feels like the suspect handled carefully, watched closely, as if guilt could be hiding in a millimeter of sound, somehow. Outside the office, nobody hears a crime. They hear a hit. The world keeps dancing while the paperwork keeps growing, quietly. The system loves checklists. If the boxes exist, someone will tick them no matter how ridiculous the subject inside the folder today. Even experts can't agree, because the source is messy. When evidence is unclear, authority turns into opinion, with better stationery and signatures. After the 20th rewind, the brain stops hearing sound and starts hearing patterns. That's how false certainty gets born, all too easily. By March, the conclusion hasn't changed. Still no clear obscene text, just a growing trail of "we listened again" in the margins. At some point, listening becomes ceremonial, an official session where everyone pretends the next replay will finally reveal the truth, for sure. In investigations, maybe is poison. It forces more steps, more memos, more listening, because uncertainty is unacceptable on paper, ever. The system isn't powered by truth, it's powered by compliance. If a request is valid, someone must process it. End of story, no questions. By April, it's almost comedic. The chorus hasn't changed, only the number of times it's been analyzed like a crime scene, again. They're hunting for one dirty sentence, like if they can isolate a single line, the whole song will become a conviction somehow. When words are unclear, the brain becomes a scriptwriter. It fills the gaps with whatever it expects to hear, every time. Give anything a serious face, and it starts to feel important. Even a rock song can look like a national threat under the right lighting and mood. As May approaches, the case runs out of oxygen. The more they listen, the less there is to prove at all. Eventually, it becomes a summary memo. What we did, what we heard, and what we couldn't prove in the end. After months of listening, the conclusion lands with a thud. No evidence of obscene content, just noise, guesses, and paperwork stacked high. The case ends the most bureaucratic way possible. Filed away, not with justice, just with time that can't be returned to anyone. This is the tragic comedy. The system can be perfectly efficient at chasing the wrong thing because the request was formal and logged. And just like that, the dangerous rock song exits the spotlight, carried down a hallway and swallowed by a filing cabinet forever. The loudest moment is the end, when the rewinds stop and the room finally admits it was chasing nothing all along. Years later, the paper trail survives. Not the obscene lyrics, just the proof that the system spent real effort trying to hear them. Anyway, this is the real warning. Noise can hijack attention. If the form is correct, the machine will work whether or not the mission matters to people. It's a strange transformation. A dance hit becomes a government document official the moment the stamp touches paper, like magic. Once the process starts, it feeds itself. Every unclear second of audio produces another clear page of documentation, neatly filed. The chorus refuses to behave. It stays messy, loud, and undecipherable, no matter how many times authority demands clarity out loud. And the cost is invisible, but real. While attention locks onto noise, the waiting stack, the real world, keeps growing. In silence. They try to clean the sound, boost the voice, cut the noise, but clarity doesn't appear. It just changes shape, again and again. Rules are literal by design. The problem is, reality isn't. So the machine can spend months chasing a technical what if without blinking. One more listen. That's the trap. Because if you might have missed it, you're obligated to try again, right now. There's no victim in the room, no witness to question, just audio, and a process that needs something to pursue, constantly. Moral panic works like fuel. It doesn't need facts, just heat, repetition, and the certainty that someone should do something immediately. They're translating sound into suspicion, turning vibes into possible violations one uncertain syllable at a time, with confidence. The hardest sentence for an institution is, "We don't know." So it keeps working, until uncertainty looks like effort, to everyone. In May, it's the final loops. Same fragment, same doubt, like the case is running in circles until it runs out of ink. And patience. The ending isn't dramatic, it's administrative. No clear obscene content found, nothing to prosecute, just a file that needs closing, neatly. The funniest part is also the saddest. After all that work, the finding is nothing. Nothing, officially documented, in triplicate. Out in the world, the truth is obvious. A song isn't a confession. It's just a song, messy, fun, and alive. Like people. The real crime scene wasn't the lyrics. It was attention, how easily it gets captured by noise, and how hard it is to get back later. A form is a spell. Once it's valid, the system can't ignore it, even if common sense is screaming to move on, fast. Law wants words you can quote, but the audio won't give them. So the case can't become proof, only a pile of attempts, on record. It's a loop. Request, review, analysis, memo, then back again. The motion itself starts to look like progress, from a distance. In the end, the song keeps winning. Not because it's innocent or guilty, because it's ungraspable. Noise slips through rules, every time. The strangest evidence is a blank spot where the obscene quote should be. The file has effort, but no words at all. They had tools, they had procedures, but tools can't solve a rumor, especially when the crime depends on what people think they heard in passing. What survives is the story, a government file documenting how far an institution will go to chase a rumor into paperwork for months. It's funny until you remember the cost. Attention is finite. Every hour spent on noise is an hour not spent on harm, somewhere else. The case is built on a fantasy that if you listen hard enough, messy sound becomes a clean transcript eventually. Procedure is automatic. Judgment is hard. And when judgment is hard, procedure tends to win by default every day. Paperwork can become a shield. We did something, even if that something was listening to a rock song for months on repeat. This little case is a mirror. It shows how systems can be rigorous and still miss the point completely without noticing. The song turns into a Rorschach test. People don't hear what's there, they hear what they expect to be there, inside themselves. When something spreads fast, fear spreads with it. Popularity starts to look like proof that something must be wrong somehow. Ambiguity is a bureaucrat's nightmare. If the answer isn't yes or no, the only safe move is more process and more forms. At some point, listening stops being curiosity and becomes labor hours spent producing certainty that the audio simply can't deliver, ever. The joke writes itself. The paper is crisp, the music is chaos, and somehow the chaos is the one on trial tonight. The day ends, then another. The case stays on the desk because the machine doesn't get tired, people do, eventually. And then it becomes official. No obscenity confirmed. An entire investigation distilled into a neat, empty sentence in ink. It proves almost nothing about the song, but it reveals something huge about systems. They can work perfectly on the wrong target for years. There's always a moment it should end, when you realize there's nothing there. But ending requires judgment, and judgment is risky to careers. In institutions, stopping can look like failure. So the safer move is to keep going until time makes the decision for you, quietly. A pop song versus the state. The mismatch is almost absurd, like using a sledgehammer to investigate a whisper in stereo. The file doesn't shout. It quietly says, "We investigated, we documented, and in the end, we found nothing worth the effort at all." In the evidence room, the tape sits quietly small, harmless, surrounded by cases that actually needed urgency and action. A few seconds of chorus replayed for weeks turned into months of labor. That's how noise becomes expensive for everyone. The system did what it does best. It documented everything, including the fact that there was nothing to document in the end. When the lights go out, the desk looks honest. A little music, a lot of paper, and a lesson written in wasted attention. For us. The funniest part is, we can still read the trail, an official record of officials listening and concluding there was nothing obscene to hear anywhere. If a system can spend months chasing a mumble, imagine what noise can do today. The lesson is simple. Don't let it drive your priorities, ever.